Sorry.
Oh.
My screen just went boo boo boo.
What happened to the intro first?
Yeah, mate, I totally stuffed that up. Just pretend boom, 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 AussieVerse, yeah.
I'll drop you all out. I'll drop you all out. I'll run the intro and then I'll pop you all in and then screw it all.
For some reason, you know what? There we go. Hey, guess what? AussieVerse. Hey, that was just a snippet. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, collectors of all ages, this is the mature show for mature comic book readers. We are known as AussieVerse Comics and Collectors, and I'm hoping that this intro... Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Welcome. I am OmniBeau, Mark Grodd Watson, Ryan Sharif, Sizzle, and MadSpidey. We're talking all things Thor, Love, and Thunder.
Is that a duck or?
You can hit us up on Instagram at AussieVerse Comics and Collectors _. And if you like all of our graphic designing, editing, go check out A51 Designs. And if you'd be so kind as to like and subscribe so that we can do that so slow crawl to 400 subscribers, where one lucky winner will be getting an Amazon $100 gift card. And if you like the people that aren't here too often, go check them out on their own respective channels. You can catch MadSpidey right here. And if you like Shane, then you can catch his rants right over here. Ladies and gentlemen, Thor, Love, and Thunder. Let's get to it. Booyah! Let's go.
And dead silence again.
Dead silence.
Who wants to go first?
Ryan, go for it. I'm putting you up.
I actually really enjoyed this movie, surprisingly. I'll admit it's not one of the best MCU movies. It's not one of the worst. I think it just fits into that middle tier, and it just sits there very nicely. Really enjoyed Gore as the villain and how they utilized him and Christian Bale's performance as Gore and what they did with Jane throughout the movie and just where it ended off.
Fair enough. I think this is a good idea. We'll go around and just give the initial thoughts like Ryan just did, and then we'll go into deeper territory. MadSpidey, you're next, my friend.
Yeah, I'm always next. Yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag. For me. I know Taika Waititi was given free reign on this, and he even said in interviews that he literally tried to throw everything he could at the silly stick, basically. So I think they went a bit too far with the silliness. Overall, it was an enjoyable movie. It was fun, but I think they could have dialed it back a little bit. But I will say, like what Ryan said, Christian Bale plays an absolutely wicked bad guy.
Yeah. All right.
Agreed.
Let's put some sizzle on this.
Yeah. Well, I went in expecting silly corniness, and I was not disappointed. I mean, it was ridiculous, and I had a great time because that's what I was expecting. I walked in expecting that, and I got what I expected. So, but yeah, Christian Bale did a great villain, so that was some great seriousness in there, in amongst the mix. But those goats cracked me up, and so many people hate them, but I was cacked up every time they screamed.
I still can't believe that it came from a Taylor Swift video.
Yes, I've heard that, and I have never seen a Taylor Swift video, so I don't know what they're talking about.
So there's like an edit of, I think it's called Trouble by Taylor Swift, where at a certain point in the song, there's just these two goats screaming, and that's where Taika got the idea for the goats.
Wow.
There's a sample of that.
Yeah.
Sharif, off you go, champ.
The trailers did a good job. Going in, I knew what to expect. Enjoyed it, but didn't feel it was meaty enough. But at the end of the show, walking out of the theater, all smiles. Yeah.
Fair enough. Let's get some stash into this one. Mark, yours turn, mate.
For me, I'm guessing more like Shane and that. Look, I thought it was almost a tale of two movies. The first half, I didn't really enjoy that much. Like, it was still entertaining. There's a few reaches with the comedy and stuff like that. But then the second half, when it finally got into the plot, I really enjoyed, which is obviously Christian Bale's Gore. They deep dive into that a bit more, or he gets introduced a bit more. I feel like he's kind of like in the wrong movie, but every time he comes into the scene, the tone changes and it felt better. It felt like it flowed better. So that's props to Christian Bale. But so I enjoyed it. I didn't hate it. But yeah, I do think that there's for starters, like, because when we deep dive a bit more into it, for starters, like, I think the difference between this and Ragnarok, which I really like Ragnarok, is the acting. I mean, like, you're doing a comedy movie, basically, at least for the first half, and there's not really any comedy actors. It can get kind of cringy, I guess you could say, sometimes. I mean, like, it wasn't over the top, but yeah, that was my initial thought. Like, at least in Ragnarok, you still had Ruffalo, who's a veteran at doing rom-coms, and you still got Tom Hiddleston, who you can bounce off. He can basically act anything. And then you've also got what's his name from Jurassic Park?
Chris Pratt.
Hey?
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt?
No. The old Jurassic Park.
Oh,
Who's
Jeff
in?
Goldblum.
Oh,
What's that?
Sam Neill.
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Oh
Jeff-
So
my
many
God.
actors from Jurassic Park in Thor.
Yeah. But, in Thor Ragnarok, he's a naturally funny dude as well in real life, and I feel like you got those actors to bounce off of, and none of them are in this one, so they don't bounce. Because apparently in Thor Ragnarok, it's a lot of improv. So I think with better, funnier people, improv works better. So maybe he did it for this one or whatever. So, but yeah, anyway, that's my initial thought. Didn't hate it. Didn't love it. I thought Christian Bale's Gore was almost the best villain in MCU. His performance, I really enjoyed it. But yeah, it's mine.
Well, funny thing, Jeff Goldblum did shoot a scene for it, as did the evil queen from Game of Thrones, the woman from Judge Dredd.
Lena Headey.
Yeah, Lena Headey. They both did a scene each, and they were cut from the film.
Okay.
Apparently,
Peter
Taika
Dinklage
Waititi-
also did a scene as well as
That's
Etrigan
right.
and was cut.
Yeah. So I think there were going to be other guards that get killed, but yeah, obviously you cut them out for whatever reason. But I actually enjoyed this film, and I really liked it, and I laughed and I enjoyed it and everything. But what's funny is that it's amazing how somebody else's opinion can influence one's own opinion. And I watched Matt from Talkin' Pop Culture do his review. I don't know if you saw that, where he was
Not yet.
he was just cutting sick at how angry he was over it. And I love it when he's angry, because I just sit there and get the popcorn out and wait for his blood to boil and burst and everything. And the funny thing is that a few of his points I couldn't disagree with. And it actually made me realize, yeah, you know what? I still enjoyed the film, but there's a few things that I think were done wrong. One of them, which I think Mark, you just touched on, is I think the whole gore aspect of it was really rushed. As a massive fan of Jason Aaron's Thor, which is where this movie obviously came from, I really wanted a bit more of a drawn-out origin of Gore. I wanted him to lose his wife. I wanted him to lose his daughter. I wanted him, and obviously they did it, but it was just so rushed, I think. Same with the Jane Foster Thor. I think that was really rushed as well. For MCU, that does 2 hour, 2.5 hour, sometimes even longer movies, I don't know why they made this one the length that they did when it could have easily been a 2.5 hour film if they stretched some stuff out. But in saying that, I did enjoy it. I won't go into all the things I didn't like about it until we deep dive into about it. But yeah, it was fun.
Mm.
Funny that you bring up the length because it came out today that it was mandated that it had to be 2 hours long.
Don't understand that.
So they really needed to cut out sort of one sort of story arc, didn't they, to sort of make a proper movie? Instead, they just tried to do sort of 2 little story arcs in there. As you said, Jane and Foster and Gore. They probably needed to pick the one of the two if they were going to make a 2 hour movie.
Yeah.
If you think about it realistically, they probably could have cut all the Guardian scenes out.
Why is that? Is on my notes. Why is that in there?
There was one scene, wasn't it? You blinked and you missed them.
Well,
Yeah.
it's still 10 minutes. I mean, like, you could dive down more into Gore stuff, couldn't you? For that 10 minutes.
I love the Guardians. I reckon they're hilarious. Like, they're some of my favorite MCU movies. But I think it felt like it was just like slotted in there for the hell of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't really needed, I don't think.
Was it just me?
It kind of just felt like Taika was just like, okay, I've been saddled with this. I have to clean it up just to get to what I actually really want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it also just me? Is Chris Pratt just seemed a little bit off in this movie? Like his voice.
And that's the thing, like when you said, there's no comedic actors. Well, Chris Pratt is traditionally a comedic actor, like Parks and Recreation and things like that. Like he's always been a comedic actor. But yeah, he just seemed off.
Yeah.
Like all the Guardians just seemed off. Like as if they're like, we don't really need to be here.
Yeah, the voices were wrong. Sometimes you can read comic books and from a different writer and you're going, their voice is a little bit off. It's kind of like what this is. It's not a James Gunn movie. It's
the tone is different.
Yeah. And it looked like it confused them and then just they're sort of stale. Yeah.
I was saying from the very, very early stages of this movie that the Guardians were only going to be in it for 5 minutes. It was either going to be the Guardians were in it for 5 minutes or they were in it for the entire film. There was going to be no middle ground. And it was just so obvious once you saw a trailer that the Guardians were only going to be in it for 5 minutes. And I think they demanded that they be in it for continuity's sake so that you could now say continuity, yes.
Continuation.
That is why, because when the Guardians 3 comes out, it'll obviously, you'd assume, start straight from there. So that way you can have a bit of a flow. But still, there was no need for it.
Cut into Christian Bale's time.
Yeah. So let's go around and say what you think the best part of the movie was. Like, if you could pick one thing from this film that you thought was the best part, what do you think that was? Mark?
Easily for me was Christian Bale talking to the kids in the dark realm.
Oh,
He pops up in the background and you see his eyes, and then he tells them a story about the gods, and it was really creepy, and I really digged it. And I'm just going, I could dig this. It was just amazing acting, and it was unexpected at the time because I could feel the tone not quite getting to there. I'm just going, and at the time, then you hear Christian Bale talk in the darkness, and it just sort of creepiness. I'm just going, now we're getting going.
Ryan?
The second post-credit scene where Jane goes to Valhalla. I thought that was a beautiful part of the movie that just wrapped that character up perfectly.
Fair enough. Sharif?
It's when Jodie Foster, I mean Jane, you know, when Mjolnir came to her at the end, and she had to make the decision whether or not to pick it up and go and help Thor. You can see the pained expression on her face to make that decision. Yeah, that was mine.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. Sizzle.
Mine was just plain silliness. Watching Russell Crowe make an absolute fool of himself. That was so ridiculous. It was just so bad. It was so bad. It was funny. It was just ridiculous. Yeah.
And MadSpidey.
I'll just say Christian Bale as a whole. He's the only one that made that movie. Like I'm not, as I said, I'm not saying the movie is bad. I'm just saying that he made it. Like if he wasn't in it, you'd probably give it a 2 or a 3 out of 10. But with him in it, it's at least it's getting over the pass mark at a 6 or a 7 possibly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Christian Bale as a whole, no specific scene, but just him as a whole made that movie a lot better than what it potentially could have been.
I kept waiting for him to go on a Terminator Salvation style set rampage.
I don't know if in a rewatch these two things will be my favorite, but since seeing the movie, these two things have popped into my head quite a lot, and I chuckle to myself at work. And it's one, the axe Stormbreaker, yeah. How it almost had a personality, and like it was like the ex-girlfriend, just always. I found that absolutely hilarious. And the other thing that I think about way too much, but it constantly makes me laugh, is when Russell Crowe is standing there and he gives like this speech, and then he comes down the stairs and he lifts up his dress and he still goes down the stairs. I thought that was just absolutely hilarious. We have a question. What do you guys think of the direction of the character development of Thor? Personally, I'm over the himbofication of the character. Yeah.
That's too big a word for us.
Yeah, I'm going to have to Google that one.
What he's referring to is a point
means.
What he's referring to is a point that Matt made on Talking Pop Culture that I agree with. It's hard to take Thor seriously. He's saying himbofication, and if I'm wrong, Facebook user, please correct me, because a himbo is a male bimbo. So Thor is meant to be a guy that's been around for 1,000 years or whatever, and he acts like a 2-year-old. He acts like a guy that's only been around for a year or two, and like a baby that everything's new and everything's funny, and it is very hard to take him seriously. And I don't blame Thor fans for having an issue with that, because
yeah, it's true.
And I've said that too. Like Thor is a serious character. Like he's not like in the comics. He is not. He's not a a himbo or whatever like that. He is a serious character. And it's like I've said it before. Like my wording of Hollywoodization, where they have to try and make it okay for the masses instead of just the comic book nerds, basically.
Yeah.
But I think they should have left it like in the first one and in Dark World. They should have just left it a serious character with little twists of comedy in there just to lighten things up a little bit. Not go full, 2-year-old bloody stuff.
Yeah.
They've gone way too far with it.
They should have gone more for the Russo's interpretation of Thor in Infinity War, wherein he's this tragic figure who has had everyone die and uses humor to try and forget and just get over it in a way. And he still has his serious moments in there, but you can tell, he's just using it to hide his pain.
Yeah, I think to the point of that, I agree with all your points and stuff like that, but also too, it's the fact of what you're working with, I guess. I guess Chris Hemsworth sort of found his niche, kind of like John Cena did and James Gunn did with him in Peacemaker. where he sort of acts pretty well as the bimbo sort of jock guy. the guy that's clueless. From what I remember in the comics, and I've read Jason Aaron's run just recently, Thor still is a bit of a drunk and screws up a little bit, but he's not stupid as people who, he's not a child. People, but yeah, so I think Chris Hemsworth sort of found what he's good at, and they've tried to exploit that, and now we found out that they took it that little bit too far where it just didn't quite work. So maybe we need to come back a little bit, which is fine.
It's like one comment I heard a while ago after Ragnarok, and that is, as funny and as good as Ragnarok was, it's almost a shame that it worked, because now we're never going to get the epic Lord of the Rings style Thor movie ever again, because this is what they're always going to do. And it's right, because when you read Thor runs, again, like the Jason Aaron one, how epic is it in scale? And it's just, it's a shame that we're never going to get something really serious with Thor unless he's part of Avengers or whatnot.
Allow me to rebut here really quickly on that. I would say that for the mass audience, Ragnarok actually reignited their love for Thor. Because prior to that, apart from maybe the first movie, he was just that guy in the Avengers that no one really cared about.
Yeah. And that's the problem, because you're right. You can't argue the success, but it's almost like a double-edged blade. You know, it's worked, but you kind of didn't want it to work for that reason.
Yeah. And then it just went that little bit over the top, but then here we are now talking about the performance, what Thor should be, but as you said, Bo, the success of Ragnarok is sort of what provoked that, I guess, isn't it?
But the other... Sorry, Mark, go on.
Yeah, go on. Sorry. As I said, majority of us love Thor Ragnarok, so...
Yeah, and I was going to say that, I don't know, I can't really pinpoint it, but Ragnarok seemed to flow better as a movie, whether this one seemed to, and another one of my favorite words, discombobulated.
Yeah, 100% agree.
It just didn't seem to flow as well as what Ragnarok did.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It definitely needed another 10, 15 minutes just added in, just to help with the flow and the pacing.
Yeah, agreed. What about you, Sharif? Do you agree or disagree with any of these comments?
I'm just thinking, if the direction that they're taking Thor right now, and then keep pushing it in that direction, how much further would the powers that be kind of push them over the edge until us comics readers or movie viewers would just go up in arms and say, no, that's not the Thor that we know, whether from a movie perspective, from the first Thor or even Dark World, or comics readers like us, when we read Thor, we kind of know how it sounds like in our heads. I'm just curious, how much further are they going to push this Thor in the direction that it's going right now?
But before it's unredeemable.
Yeah.
Well, see, I think the same can be said about the Hulk. I doubt we are ever going to. I mean, it's really hard to make a Hulk movie anyway with the rights. But let's just say you can. I doubt we're ever going to get a Hulk movie where it's going to be grounded and focusing on the inner battle between Bruce Banner and Hulk, and it be really a serious film. Moving forward, I'd put money on the fact that everything Hulk's ever going to be in now is always going to be very, very, maybe not comedic like Thor, but very light tone-ish, if that makes sense. You're never going to get an Eric Banner Hulk movie again, is my point. You know what I mean?
They've made him a wimp. That's basically what they've done to him. They've made and Hulk is not a wimp. Doesn't matter what storyline you're picking. There's the inner turmoil. There's obviously the savage, there's the smart, but it always had that seriousness about it.
Yeah.
What? Don't you want to see Hulk dab?
No.
No. So 2019 Ryan.
And it's so sad when you've got a character like Hull, and then you've got decades of amazing stories that you can draw from, and we have this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well,
true.
one of my points I was going to bring up too is, for starters, like we can bash on Tahiki Waititi all we want for these sort of type of movies and stuff like this, but to be honest, I think it is the studio's fault of maybe hiring this person, because you hire someone to direct a movie, he's not going to change who he is. Like, this is his brand.
Yeah.
This is what he does, right? So Michael Bay does what he does. Zack Snyder does what he does. You've got Baz Luhrmann. You know what you're getting out of all those directors. So they get this guy in. We've got to know what it is. And James Gunn's another one too. I mean, like, you've got to know what you're walking into as a James Gunn movie or a Tahiki Waititi movie. So this is not 100% on them, because they're doing what they've done their whole life and what they're good at. It's just the studio sort of picking them for certain characters that they could make a bit of what Tahiki does. He makes a little bit of fun out of these sort of things, and he's a fun guy.
He does. Yeah.
I respect the hell out of him. Like, he's come from nothing, and he's worked his ass off and stuff like that, and he has a brand, and they brought him for this brand. So yeah, that's my point on it.
True. What about you, Sizzle? What do you think?
Well, I think you're right. It's a bit of a shame that there's not going to be a serious Thor now, because they're pretty much stuck in this now. And as much as I enjoyed the movie and laughed my ass off through most of it, I'll never watch it again, because it wasn't a rewatchable movie.
That's a good point.
So yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. I could even watch Dark Worlds again. So that says a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
If you want me to rewatch Dark World, you're gonna have to force feed that to me.
I didn't mind Dark World. I thought it was all right.
Yeah, man. I'd watch Dark World over Iron Man 2 or 3 any day. Never again.
Yeah, I put Dark World below them too. But hey, we're all different.
Yeah.
Everybody's entitled to their opinion,
Exactly right.
even if it is wrong.
You mean right?
All right. Well, let's start getting into some spoilers, hey, for people that have seen the movie. And if you haven't, well, I don't know what you're doing watching this video, but anyway. So where do we go from here? Well, okay. So am I allowed to jump right to the end, or do we have to build up to the end?
Go for it.
Build up.
No.
It's your show. Run and do however you want.
One says go for it. One says okay. Jane Foster. What the hell, man? Like, I don't get why they put this in there. I mean, it just didn't flow right at all, I don't think. And not only that, but I think her actually dying, I don't know about you guys, but that shocked me. Did you actually expect her to die?
Well, a lot of things led to thinking that she was in the next Avengers. So it was sort of like, oh, okay, all those rumors were wrong.
Yeah. I mean, it made me feel better at the end when you realize, it's Marvel, and when people die, they don't really die; they just go somewhere else. But that legitimately shocked me. I was like, wow, they actually killed her.
I think when they mentioned the cancer thing, then it became inevitable.
True, but it could have been inevitable later.
Not stage 4.
Not for stage 4.
Yeah, true.
Fair enough.
Maybe an extra day.
Yeah. It's for me. It's I'm a bit surprised that they brought her back from the blip, because she missed 5 years, and then that just within that 3 years, she's already at stage 4 cancer. But having said that, at the end, where like Ryan said, in the second end credit scene with she and Heimdall, when I saw her, is this gonna be comics? And they're gonna bring her back as a Valkyrie?
Yeah, I thought that too, to be honest. I thought, yeah, Valkyrie's coming. I basically enjoyed Love and Thunder. The Jane Foster arc stayed true to the comics, but it seemed rather quick. Yes, exactly.
Agree.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the characters of Korg and Valkyrie and these other characters in the movie? How did you guys feel about these inclusions? Were they needed? Were they shoved in there? Were they good?
Valkyrie by Teresa Thompson, again, didn't really have much purpose, and I like that character. I really liked her use in Thor Ragnarok. It was a bit of a shame that she didn't get to flourish again, but hopefully she's in next projects or whatever. But Korg to me was a bit of overkill. So
Korg's whole purpose in this movie is just to bookend the movie.
Yep.
He's just there to narrate the start and the end, and to introduce Dwayne The Rock.
Yeah, so I didn't mind his story arc. I mean, like, it is always funny for a New Zealand accent. I mean, like, who doesn't find that funny? But
Choice, bro.
yeah, exactly. Like, you can listen to that sort of stuff all day. But yeah, just sometimes in key moments, like as you said, Beau, Matt also right in that key moment, then all of a sudden that song came out on the boat and just like, I didn't really need this.
I didn't like how they killed him, but they didn't really kill him. Like, I'm sure everybody thought the same.
It's Grodd all over again.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Like when he got killed, that you were like, wow, you know, we all felt it, right? We were like, oh, the poor guy, and he's crumbling, and and then he's a face.
Beating the same old drum again.
Yeah. What did you think about the goats? Let's get it out there.
I think the first 5 times it was funny, then it just got annoying.
See, I was the other way around. I was annoyed at the beginning when they were screaming a lot, but then when it was just a little bit here and a little bit there, I found it funny. So I don't know.
I'm 100% with you there, Shane. It was kind of like a Family Guy joke, how they just keep pushing until it gets funny. I was a bit annoyed to start with, but then when it came through with Zeus and you can hear him screaming from outside the window and they busted through, that's the first time I laughed at that joke, and then I laughed from then on. So I was the same as you.
Yeah, I think it should have been like more sort of situational. Instead of just keep doing it, pick key moments to do that silly stuff to maybe break up a serious point or something like that.
100%.
That makes sense.
Claudia and I laughed every single time those fucking goats. Every time. We couldn't help it. We found it hilarious and we loved it. When they're going to the dark moon or whatever it was, the planet.
Oh yeah. I laughed out loud on that one.
that did it for me. I thought it was just level off and it just went perpendicular in. Oh my god, that really did it for me with the goats.
Oh, it was so funny, man. So funny. The goats reminded me of those Facebook videos that popped up. I turned around to Claudia before we saw the movie and I said, I'm going to put it out there right now. Valkyrie is going to get killed because a lot of people need to die in this film. You know, that's the way you thought going into it with gore. I bet you Valkyrie gets killed and that's how Thor becomes king of Asgard again. And when she got stabbed, I straight away looked at her and I went, I fucking told you, didn't I? I'm the fucking comic guy. And then she didn't die. And I felt stupid.
Well, I don't think they'll ever make him king of Asgard again anytime soon. For the simple reason of I think his character arc has moved past it.
Surely he's going to be.
And unless they start going to like the unworthy storyline and try and regress him back to maybe build him up again, possibly. And that, if they ever did something like that, that could be a serious storyline.
Yeah.
That's
But
true.
obviously, as long as Taika Waititi is not directing it, then they may be able to bring it back. But yeah, as we've all said, I think it's gone past the point where there's no going back.
Yeah.
Feels that way anyway.
I don't know how they'd do an unworthy Thor when that's what started Jane Foster. So they'd have to go in and completely new storyline. But I would like to see that though.
Hey, they can introduce Thunderstrike, everyone's favorite Thor character.
Oh, with the ponytail.
You just reminded me. 4 Thor films, and we still don't have Better Ray Bill.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, we have. It was one of the heads on the building of bloody what's his name thing.
I couldn't believe he wasn't in this. I've said it a few times now, put money on it. I would have put money on Better Ray Bill being in this film, and he wasn't. So I'm glad I didn't.
It would. I don't know. Would it have been a too big a character to introduce beside Thor, and introduce what's his hammer? Well, wait, that's Stormbreaker, isn't it?
Yeah.
Give me
It would have been.
Give me back my axe.
Speaking about him Thor not having Stormbreaker again, that final scene where he and the kid was running, he was holding Mjolnir.
Yeah,
And the kid was holding Stormbreaker. So it's
All right. So here's a question: Did you like it, or did it annoy you? The stupid Mjolnir bloody splitting up and like attacking people in a million pieces.
I think I like it.
Me personally, annoyed the crap out of me.
I loved it.
I thought it was a cool ability to add to the hammer, considering what they did to it the last time we saw it.
You know why I thought it was good? Because in the comics, when Jane becomes Thor, you find out so much about Mjolnir, how it's a living storm, and it's not just a magic thing that Odin's done. It's actually something alive in the hammer, and it actually does have its own personality, and they just delve into it a lot more. And one of the things that Jane does that Thor couldn't do, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but she could make the hammer
redirect.
What was it? She did
Fly-
something with the hammer in the comics, I remember, and that Thor couldn't do. So this is like paying homage, I think, to that in the comics, that she can do something that Thor couldn't.
Yeah, I just didn't like the breaking up. Like, it's probably because I'm more of the traditionalist sort of thing, and it's just like, yeah, I know it's Hollywoodization. I keep saying it, but it just annoyed me for some reason. I'm just like, nah.
You're more on the you like your hammers that don't break.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but,
And then it's not a hammer then.
Yeah, right. But to add to that, I enjoyed it. It looked cool. Do I agree with it so much? Yeah, it seemed a bit weird that the hammer just sort of spewed everywhere and like a double barrel shotgun just got everybody.
Yeah.
What did you think about the explanation as to how Mjolnir got to Jane when Thor kind of said, protect her?
I thought it was a bunch of shit.
I think it was a bit of a cop-out, actually.
Yeah, it was the best thing they could come up with probably in 10 seconds. Like It's like they got asked on the spot.
And that's about 8 seconds too much credit.
Yeah.
So
One thing that I was thinking throughout the whole movie, so like specifically when they're doing their little encounter with Gore on the moon in the Shadow Realm, And he's like, "Oh, call the axe." I was just thinking, Thor, you don't even need these weapons to use your bloody powers. Why don't you just shoot him with some lightning?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I didn't understand why he had to call the Stormbreaker.
And turn into the Emperor. Ah.
I don't like how anybody can have the power of Thor if Thor tells the hammer to always look after you. Like, it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what if you meet another hot girl one day?
He enchanted the hammer. He enchanted
whatever.
it.
Enchanted it.
Cop out.
They needed something to remind people of Odin, how he enchanted the hammer in the first one. It was whispering into the hammer.
Oh, God damn it, you're right.
I was going to say, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
And
right.
I think that they did it when they did in the film to later set up that he could imbue other people with his power.
True.
Like
Temporarily.
Cop out.
Yeah, no, you got good points though. You're right, especially you, Sharif. What else have we got? We haven't really spoken gore in depth, have we?
Brilliant.
Yeah. Did you like the time?
A bit disappointed. Should have been drawn out a little bit more.
100%.
I think also it was a bit of an odd choice, seeing that he's a relatively new villain. Because when was the run? 2014, 2015?
2012.
Oh, no way!
Oh, okay.
No.
But still relatively, like, compared to a whole back history of villains,
I'm getting so old.
still relatively new.
Yeah. One thing that I really did like was the whole skeleton-looking thing every now and then when he'd like slowly come into the light. It almost looked like a skull.
He was awesome. And I hear, like, on total 15 minutes runtime, max, that he got.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so look, I really liked it. I liked, although Christian Bale, I did hear that a couple of times that Welsh accent come out. Did you guys hear that? Did you hear his Welsh accent come out just a couple of times? I think he's from Welsh. I think he's Welsh. I heard it a couple of times.
Missed it. No.
Yeah. I'll trust your ears there, my friend.
I'll attempt when it comes out on, like what I always do. I always buy the DVDs of all the movies, all the comic book movies. I might do it a rewatch and then see if I can pick it then.
I don't know. It just picked up to me because I knew that he's got quite a thick accent. He's got quite that thick sort of southerly accent. So
I did
might
wish
be just me.
I did wish he looked a tiny bit more like he does in the comics, where they had some sort of prosthetic on his nose and it was more flattened out like that. And he has
You'll get Voldemort all together again.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Maybe that's why they didn't want to do it. But yeah.
Well, Taika Waititi did say that the entire reason he doesn't look like he does in the comics is because of Voldemort. Because he just looked like Voldemort. And Christian Bale just didn't want to wear a G-string all day on set.
He doesn't know what he's missing then, does he?
Speaking from experience.
I wear two.
On next week's show. At 10 o'clock.
AussieVerse After Dark. There was a couple of other bits here. Chris pointed out. Not only this kind of confused me actually, the whole Eternity, because correct me if I'm wrong. No, it was the Living Tribunal that you saw quickly in Doctor Strange. Eternity. Yeah. They had the design of Eternity, right? And the cosmos looking thing that Eternity has, but it was a bit strange, Eternity not being somebody that could actually talk or be an actual character. It was more like just a doorway. I didn't know how to feel about that. How did you
And
guys?
physically be about a tenth of the size that it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I always remember in the comics Eternity being like absolutely like ginormous compared to like everybody. It'd be like Galactus, you know, everybody be sort of like this, and he'd be, you know, like that, like an ant, you know, like, or like a grain of sand compared to like one of us, sort of thing, like that sort of comparison.
Yeah.
Speaking about Eternity, it may have just gone over me. Where were they? With the water and Eternity there? Where were they? What space was that?
Yeah, right.
Purgatory. I don't know.
Yeah, no,
I forget.
good point.
Because if you know, we've seen two similar scenes like that when Gamora and Hawkeye got the Soul Stone.
Yeah.
Similar, but in this one it was much brighter, not so much color. So is it the same space? Is it the same realm? What?
So it's like a sacrificial realm or something like that.
Yeah. good
Maybe
question.
it's an in-between realms place.
Yeah, in between death. Yeah.
Like Purgatory.
Yes.
Did you catch
When Gore brought his daughter back, did you notice that they gave her the shape of eternity and pretty much made it look like Singularity from the comics?
No.
Missed it.
Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's
Did you see in
Hemsworth's daughter too, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, it's Hemsworth's daughter.
All
Yeah.
Hemsworth, nearly all the main actors, all their kids were in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that.
There's Guardian Kids.
Because Hemsworth's kids were in it. What's her name? I was going to say Jodie Foster then, Sharif.
Portman.
Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman's kids were in it.
Mercedes,
Yeah, Taika Waititi's kids were in it.
Chris's.
Christian Bale's kids were in it.
Wow.
Some of them were uncredited, but most of them were credited.
Yeah,
So
Heimdall's
did you-
son was in it as well.
Did you hear why Christian Bale did this movie?
His kids
He acted?
begged him to do it.
Yeah. He said he didn't want to do another comic book movie. And yeah, his kids begged him to be in it. So good on you, Dad.
Oh wow.
Did anybody catch the Celestials? They were there for like 2 seconds.
Oh yeah, not even two
They're
Yeah,
seconds.
very, very quickly.
Because they flew out.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I saw them, I told myself, "Oh man, I gotta go back and start watching Eternals." I haven't.
All right, what else have we got? Oh, Sizzle, what did you think about that whole end scene? You know, you've got such a, I know you've got your thumbs in a lot of artistic pies. That whole end bit with the black and white color scene. What were your thoughts on that?
It went black and white. I don't even remember that.
The Shadow Realm.
Yeah, the shadow.
Oh, the
realm.
Shadow Realm. Yeah, and they color up when they start using their powers. Yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah.
Got power. Yeah.
Sin City
I
ripoff.
guess that makes sense for where they were. I guess. I don't know. I don't know if that effect was really needed. I guess.
I really dug it. I thought it was really good. Yeah.
I did. I loved it. I thought the fight was good. Maybe it was just the fight that made it look cool.
Yeah.
Black and white, but yeah.
I liked how they kind of tied All Black to that realm as well, in the sense that when Gore picked up All Black, he was drained of all color.
Yeah.
What about you, Sharif? Did you like that?
One word, artistic. You know, paintings, artwork where you've got a stark not just a blank canvas and then just a slight streak of color. It just adds that bit of drama, that punch into the whole scene, into the whole work actually. So I find that bit on a bit artistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. Ryan, talk us through these after credit scenes. What did you think of them?
So the first one, it is Zeus being very angry that people do not worship a god who does nothing for them anymore. And then he's like, my son, I need you to beat the shit out of this superhero, Thor. You need to do that, Hercules. And then one of the guys from Ted Lasso.
Sounds like you were kind of replace your voice with Korg there, and that would have really worked.
Hey, look, bro, there's Hercules.
What did you guys? I mean, I know it's very hard to judge on such a quick little scene, but what did you think of Hercules? Because that was not the Marvel.
Not big enough.
Not just that, but the way he even acted. You know, Hercules is a bit of a doofus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of
All
like
brawn, no brains.
Can't really judge a character off of only 2 words on screen being
Yes,
yes,
you can.
father.
Yeah, 3 seconds and yeah. Oh, but in saying that, Zeus with the hole in his chest, how is he not dead?
Zeus, man.
It's God.
Yeah.
Zeus, man.
So why would he be worried about God coming after him then? If he's really an immortal god?
He wasn't
Very
worried,
good
was he?
point.
Wasn't he like, who gives a shit? Oh no, he did. No, sorry, you're right.
He thought they
did-
couldn't find them.
Yeah, he didn't want the other gods to worry because God's after them. They're gonna die. So why would he give a shit if he can't die?
Yeah, it's right. And he said Thor couldn't go back because he would tell Gore the location of them, so he was afraid of that. So
Yeah.
why would he be afraid of that if he can't die? It's a good point, Sharif. It's all very messy of how they've portrayed Zeus in this. I don't know what to think of it.
Mm.
What did you guys all think when Thor killed Zeus? Because that really shocked me.
I was like, what the fuck just happened? Is this like a cosplay?
I know he was so like nonchalant about it as well. I just killed Zeus. It pissed me off. But it's
Just caught his lightning bolt and threw it.
Yeah.
I remember when they first cast Russell Crowe in this movie, I thought he was going to be old King Thor.
Yeah. I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Oh, yes, the Necro sword. Because he could kill gods, yes. Sorry, Chris is right.
You just reminded me. When Claudia and I were going up the escalators at Southland to go to the movie, I was being my normal comic book nerd self, and I was trying to educate her in the storyline that happened in Jason Aaron's run. And I'm like, all right, so there was a young Thor and there's an old Thor. And then there's the Thor that you know now. And in each timeline, Gore has fought all these Thors. And then later on, they all team up and you have 3 Thors versus Gore. And then you have this and you have that. I'm like, but I wonder how they're going to do it in the movie. Some dude turns around to me a couple of steps away and he goes, are you talking about the movie? And I'm like, nah, man, the comic. And he goes, yeah, I haven't read it or seen it yet, so do you mind? I'm like, oh, that was really polite way of telling me to shut the fuck up. And I went, you know what, he's got a point, you know, I'm being all loud and getting all passionate about it. I'm like, people are listening here.
I just told him to fuck off.
Luckily, you spoiled nothing.
Chris, that is exactly the point that I want to get to next. But first, we need to have a word from our sponsors. Yeah, we do.
This show is sponsored by the Comx shop. Check out comx.cx for all things Comx and find out what Comx is all about. Then head over to comx.shop to pick up a variety of Australian comics from multiple creators and publishers, all for one flat postage rate. We hope you enjoy the show.
That's right, Comx. One flat postage rate. Mark, if I buy one comic or if I buy 10 comics, how much is that going to cost me from Comx?
Well, exactly the same as the one, I presume. Because that would be a great deal.
Ryan, what if I decide to buy 2 lots of comics want them shipped together in the one package, will that cost me the same?
Well, if you're a great
I
company, with a
believe
great
so.
website,
I believe that'll
good.
cost you the same.
Everybody go ahead out and check out Comx. You want to support great Australian artists, Australian writers, and Australian creators, that is where you can go. We are proudly supported by them and very, very happy to do so. And Chris had a good point here. Gore had the Necro Sword. I do not want to hog the screen like I feel like I have for a long part of this video. So you guys tell me what you think about this.
He had a sword.
So,
Sword, yeah, what?
He had a sword. It killed
You can
gods.
kill gods.
Yeah.
so, for those that don't know, they retconned Gore's sword, the Necro Sword, in the comics, and it was essentially the first symbiote, right? Or the weapon of null. Sharif, help me out here, thank you.
The god of symbiotes.
Yes, and I remember when the trailer came out, and they rested on that sword for like a good 3 seconds, which is a long time in a short trailer. And it just looked like an everyday, ordinary sword. And I'm like, well, obviously they're not going to do anything Necro Swordish, you know? I thought they were just going to cut that part out. But every single time Gore used his, what they called shadow powers, I was saying to myself, that's not shadow powers, they're symbiotes. It made me feel better.
That's why you enjoy the movie so much.
I had the same sentiments. It just seems that the shadows just came alive. And seeing how dark it is, you would think, yeah, symbiote.
Yeah.
I did find that in adapting the Necro Sword, they kind of took away everything that was interesting about it.
I love that comment.
Yes. Kerry said the exact same thing.
Tula, 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 and a guppy.
Yeah.
Oh, mate. I'm gonna have to Google Con the Fruiter for Claudia later, I think.
Yep.
All right, what else have we got to talk about? How's the weather? Okay.
I think
Well,
we've
one
covered
thing I
most
did hate
bases.
about the movie. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think we covered most bases.
Go,
So-
Shane.
I was just going to say the destroying of the sword. That was just so. What the fuck?
Yeah. Even him getting
Yeah.
the sword was a bunch of shit, don't you think?
It was all
Well, that's
rushed,
true.
man, wasn't it? It's just
Yeah.
so rushed.
Like
Everything
he's
was
sitting
just
there.
like, they have it, we move on,
Yeah.
sort of thing. And that's what it was.
10 storylines in one movie.
Yeah.
You know, the best way I can describe this movie is if you ever tried to throw something as far as you can, like a ball or something, with your opposite hand. It just doesn't quite feel right. I mean, like, it feels a little bit awkward. It's funny, but at the end of it, you're just like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that again, sort of thing. It's just like,
Nice knowledge.
Yeah. Good point.
Would someone who has not read the books would have the same points? I mean, we know that it's been the introduction of Gore is stretched out. Would someone who's not read it think that
I haven't read the storyline.
Yeah, I haven't read it, and it would have been nice to flesh it out a bit more.
Like,
Most
I
of the
know that I know the
people-
basics, but I've never read the storyline.
Yeah. Because that's straight
Most
away.
people I know who have seen the movie, so they have not read any comic books ever.
yeah.
They really enjoyed what was done with him in this movie.
Well, I read the Jason Aaron one just recently because Bo handed them down to me for a very nice price. But I have come to the realization that I am not a massive Thor fan, and I actually didn't like the Jason Aaron run that much. I mean, like, it's enjoyable, but I'm not like, it's awesome. go get it and stuff like that. I find that with Wonder Woman as well. Maybe it's just the Greek mythology thing that
Ryan's about to
Well,
leave.
I'm sorry there was no Metamorpho or Blue Beetle in there for you, Mr. Grodd.
exactly right. I guess I have my types, and look, I don't mind reading it, but yeah, it's it just wasn't groundbreaking for me. Maybe it's that sort of world for it, but yeah, I don't know how this has got anything to do with the movie, so I'll move on.
I'm guessing when the second omnibus comes, I don't offer you the next hardcover then.
Well, at least I know that I've read it now.
I found it so freaking good, man. Like, I legitimately loved it. And it made me a Thor fan.
I can find if you're into that sort of stuff, you'd love it. And as I've come to read more comics, it's just not my thing. But if you are into it, yeah, you friggin' love Thor. Jason Aaron's run. It's awesome. It is well written, I do have to admit. So, yeah.
Okay, you redeemed yourself at the end there when you said it was well written. I'll take that.
I like what you said, Mark. Once you start reading more, you open up yourself to different characters. You find what you really do like and what you don't like so much. Yeah. I like that.
I think if you're a fan of really serious and as weird as it is to say grounded when you're talking about Thor and everything, you know, Punisher, Garth Ennis, sort of realistic tones of a comic book, then Jason Aaron's Thor is really for you. Because I just found it to be in that tone. I just found it epic as hell. I just freaking loved it. Yeah. So your opinion's wrong, Mark, but that's okay.
That's fine.
All right, well, should we close it off?
Yeah.
It's a good hour. It's a good hour of discussions. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
I'm used to long streams.
Mate, I saw Whack Comics and 4-hour streams. What the frick's going on there?
What are you talking about? Like the stream we usually, like Mark from Legion of Comics, who does one on our Friday night. I've been on there for 5-6 hours. And there's the one on our Sunday one, which is banter. That can sometimes go for. I've been on there for 9 hours, 8-9 hours.
Holy crap!
So, like, you jump in and out. Like, obviously, you know, you just mute your screen and your thing, and you're like, I'll go get something to eat and whatever. But you always sort of stay, you know, come back. Yeah, you don't stay on there for the whole entire time.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard MadSpidey. We're now going into hour 2, talking about how much we hate Miss Marvel.
Unlike you, I actually enjoyed it.
What, Miss Marvel?
Yeah.
Get the hell out of here.
I haven't seen the last episode yet.
I enjoyed it.
It's very exciting.
I only heard what my girls have watched it. I'm getting secondhand story from them.
As Mark said, we all have different opinions on what we like and what we don't like. I just love giving shit to my friends. They're wrong. They're wrong. That's why. All right, guys. We will see you here hopefully Monday for a live stream. They're getting a bit more sporadic with the weekly live streams, but even if we're not here, we will surely be here with more videos coming up. Ryan has something in the pipeline that I believe is going to be coming very soon. We also have an episode of Through the MCU that we recorded what feels like a month ago now, but I will be uploading in the next couple of days, so we better start going through that again. And I'm moving house, hence this crap all behind me. So as soon as I move house, I'm going to be doing a room tour. So I'm looking forward to that. And that's it.
We still got the top 10 villains to do, top 10 Marvel and top 10 DC. Maybe there's something we can do. I think we should review The Boys at some stage, and then maybe Miss Marvel. So at some stage too.
Yep. That sounds great. And if you do like us, or you like our guests even more, Please go check them out on their own respective YouTube channels and Instagrams. MadSpidey, who has just absolute sick collections and art. He is up to we're about the same sort of subscribers there, so let's help each other out and get that up there. You gave away a couple of slabs, man, the other day just for freaking.
Oh, wow.
We haven't done anything that cool. So if you want to continue in that sort of a period, go check out MadSpidey. And if you like one guy looking at a camera and just talking about what he likes to talk about, whether it be good stuff or bad stuff, then go check out Shane. With his rants that he
Just
likes to have.
stupid. Yeah. Woo.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you when we see you again. And as always, Mark, what is AussieVerse?
For
Live.